Are you ready, big brother?
I am.
78.6 FM Yomaton, positive vibes with Winsome. And guess what, man? This is my favorite Saturday of the month because this is the Saturday that I get to bring my big brother, Mr. Scott Garricky, and his bodyguard, my big sis in the corner. Y'all can't see her, but she's here.
Yes,
in case
she
we
is.
mess up, she throws something at us. You know what I'm saying? This is always the best part of my day. I'm re-energized. As Mr. G knows, I've been in night class.
Yes.
So trying to get my sleep together, I was like, okay, get ready for the day. Your big brother's in the air. Let's go. We didn't get it. Of course, we never rehearsed. We discussed it briefly, but we have an awesome topic. I remember him telling me a few weeks ago what it's going to be. So this is a surprise to me, and I'm really excited.
Yes.
Really excited to be
Yes.
back in the booth with you, big brother.
Absolutely. It's
How
a
are you
pleasure.
doing?
Doing very well. Doing very well.
Let's
it's
go.
It's always a pleasure to be with you
Thank you.
and to get your energy, because I'm telling you, the synergy that we have
Yes,
is
sir.
really, really good, and I do appreciate all you do.
Hey, man, I missed you, man. It's been a few weeks. I haven't seen Mr. G since my life was normal and I could sleep a normal shift, right?
That's for sure.
So 78.6 FM Yomaton, kicking it off. We made some changes last week. So, Mr. G, we always dedicated the third segment to the Air Force Wounded Warrior team.
That's right.
This year, we did a little shift
Okay.
this summer. So, just to start giving some more love and attention to the Kadena Resiliency page.
Yes.
So Ms. Shelley Merritt, my community support coordinator, asked if we show her some love. So for the next couple of months, the rest of this year, we're going to dedicate the third segment to the Air Force Kadena Air Base Resiliency page, which is, of course, Kadena CAV on Facebook. So facebook.com, Kadena CAV. So same thing we were doing with the Wounded Warriors.
Right.
We'll cover down in the topics. It's the Kadena Air Base Integrated, and I almost messed that up. I forgot that word. Integrated Resiliency Team. And the reason why I'm taking this time now is to explain what that means. So the goal is everyone on that base that has a mission for resiliency has separate missions. So Shelley's goal this year is to try to bring those missions together. Some of the amazing things we've been able to do is go out to units and teach, such as emotional intelligence, self-care, and other modules and classes, which has been amazing. So to bring those folks together from health promotions, from the mental health clinic,
That's right.
Chaplain Corps, True North is now on Kadena. So to bring all those teams together and be able to actually have one focal point of care is what the resiliency page is trying to do this year. So we'll be all interviewing each other, talking about different topics each month moving forward. So this is something really exciting, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. Shelley, thank you for the opportunity and the trust. November, I'll be one of the wing lead MRTs.
That's right.
So she's holding me close. She had me in a headlock this last couple of weeks. Won't let me go nowhere. But I'm really excited to see what we do with the program and with all the teams. So that will be the third segment.
Okay.
Thumball.com, trainerswarehouse.com. I didn't bring the thumball today because I didn't.
I was
I'm
looking
sorry.
forward to that.
I set my whole office up and left them in there, and I forgot to grab it today.
Well, give him a shout out.
Yes, shout out. Thumball.com, trainerswarehouse.com. This is your segment, so we love you. We appreciate you, and I promise we'll add an extra question.
Yes, we will.
Next time we get together. So we'll have 5 questions we'll ask each other.
There
And that
you
30
go.
question prompt ball. In case you didn't know, you can go out to the side and you'll see we've been teaching, and we take that ball everywhere we go.
Yes.
Even with the integrated resiliency and some of the educational courses we have now, we are throwing that ball around, and it really opens up the conversation.
It's fantastic. It's the
amazing.
questions on there are great icebreakers.
Yes, sir.
Get to know people.
Yes, sir.
Those are just awesome balls.
Yes. I've been really blessed to have this opportunity. And Big Brother, we have fun every time we throw. I'm getting better at catching, too, because he likes to catch me off guard. I'm getting Big Sis involved next time.
That's right.
So with that being said, those are the small changes. And if you want to know how to support,
Yeah.
we never mention this, right? I never go on there and say, follow me, like me, none of that. But just so you know, we can, the Positive Vibes Radio Show.com. This is aired every time we play and you see us. We're on YouTube. So if you're listening in, of course, this is FM Yomaton 78.6 FM. You can watch our show on YouTube if you want to see the beautiful faces that go with the voice. Just so you know, I have a face for radio, so I want to keep your expectations down, okay? But this is
There you go.
This is the perfect opportunity if you want to see us. Also, positivevibesradioshow.com. Mm-hmm. Then we also have facebook.com, 78 Positive Vibes 78.6 FM. That's when we're doing the speeches, and it'll link you back to the website just so you can have it all in one. We're not trying to have you spread out in 10 different places. I have to do better at having samples of our show because these are very important and special to me. So I'm trying to do better at adding the little segments and little clips so you guys can see what we do when we get together versus hopefully you find it somewhere, right?
That's right.
So moving forward, big brother.
Lots of changes.
Lots of changes everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
The job, the show.
Yeah.
But what will never change is how much I appreciate you.
Yeah. I appreciate you too, my friend. So much, man. Yes, indeed. God, it's my honor.
Let's go. Mr. G, what are we talking about today?
Well, for the last several times, we've been talking about Simon Sinek's books.
That's right.
We did a Start With Why segment.
Yep.
And we learned all about that. And then we said, well, okay, what if you can't find your why?
Right.
Well, Simon wrote a book. And we talked about that the last time where we go over finding your why.
That's right.
And then organization, and not just for yourself, but also for an organization.
Right.
And so we're going to step into the next segment of what Simon, I think, was talking about. He actually wrote this book after Start With Why, and it's called Leaders Eat Last.
Let's go.
Leaders Eat Last.
Let's go.
And it all stems from, have you ever been to a Marine Corps mess hall?
No, sir.
Never been there?
Never been.
I was thinking
now
about that.
Now I got to
go. Now you got to go. Because, we have how many Marine bases on this island? There's
like
got to be
9 bases. I've never been to one child. Sorry, my Marine friends, if you're listening, I'm coming.
That's right.
Eat with you now.
That's
yes,
right.
Sir.
And the one thing that that we're going to notice is that officers eat last. Officers eat last in a Marine Corps base.
Okay.
And so the reason for that is really about it's symbolic.
Okay.
It's symbolic of putting others people's needs first.
Nice.
Before your own needs.
Okay.
That selfless kind of action. And then also making sure you're taking care of those people that are in your care.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you're in charge of them. Well, you have to care for them as well. And that's what the officers do. Nice. In the Marine Corps, and they let people do it. So the true price of leadership is the willingness to put the needs of others ahead of yours.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? That's leadership. So that's the way this all started out. And
nice.
Simon goes through several different things that basically are all about caring for the people.
Gotcha.
Okay, caring for others.
Yo, Simon's speaking my language. Mm-hmm. Let me get in the rest of these books, Simon. I see what you're doing out there. All right. Yes, sir.
So it's really all about caring.
Okay.
And, as President Roosevelt said, no one cares about how much you know until they know how much you care.
One of my favorites. Yes.
Exactly. So leaders that have, or exceptional organizations are usually led by people that put those interests of the people ahead of theirs, ahead of the company, and they get to know those people. They have top cover.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And then the people that are down doing the work they got each other's back. Mm-hmm. They're helping each other out and they're looking out for each other. Right. It's really all about empathy.
Gotcha.
Feeling what that other person is feeling, helping them out where you can help them out. Okay.
Nice.
That's where really exceptional, high-performing organizations get their drive, their motivation. It's from the people and their leaders.
Gotcha.
Okay. So let's talk about an organization that basically you're wanting to get that organization high perform. Okay. And what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get people to know each other. Mm-hmm. Okay. Once they get to know each other, they feel more relaxed around each other, right? And they're able to talk to each other, and then you're building trust and cooperation. Okay. So that's what the people do. And then you're going to find that people actually want to come to work.
That's right.
And they want to give it their all because they have this motivation.
Right.
And they go home with an intense feeling of satisfaction. Of satisfaction. Yeah, I did a good job today. Mm-hmm. I put my head down on the pillow saying, yeah, I gave it my all. Mm-hmm. And that's really great. So leaders that can put an organization like that together really have what Simon colloquializes is a circle of safety.
Okay.
Okay. They build a circle of safety. And in that circle, people feel trusted.
Let's go.
Okay. They feel trusted and they back each other up.
Okay.
Okay. You strive to make that kind of organization wherever you can, but it's in small little aspects. Okay. And once they build, you get some momentum going. Okay. And it's just those small acts of caring that you need to display on a consistent basis that builds an environment and builds a culture for that company.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So you start in the, what's the phrase I want to use? You're creating a culture of trust.
Yes.
You got a team that wants to work together because they trust each other.
Yes.
And they look forward to coming to work every day and being around each other, having each other's back.
That's right.
Let's go, Simon.
That's
Speaking my language
exactly
over
right.
here. What's going on? Yes, sir.
So how do you think an organization would feel if people didn't feel safe in their jobs? You know, how much loyalty do you think that company would have within its employees?
Probably absolutely not.
That's right.
Right.
That's
Everybody's
exactly
looking
right.
for an exit strategy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or they're looking out for their own self.
Right.
I'm going to step on this guy so that I can get ahead.
Got to climb to the top. Keep
Climb
stepping
to the
your
top.
shoulders.
That's it.
What?
That's it. Exactly. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
So it's directly, how a person feels is directly correlated to how safe they feel in that organization. Okay. How safe do you really feel? If they always feel like they're going to get fired for whatever reason, they're not very safe.
Right.
Okay. So Simon goes on and he talks a little bit more about powerful forces that are occurring within us and exterior to us.
Okay.
Okay. We'll quickly go for this before we get to the break. But there are 4 primary chemicals that are in our brains. He goes into a bunch of prehistoric, and he goes through historic evolutions of the human being. But basically, it comes down to 4 different chemicals that we have in our brains. And 2 of them are selfless, and 2 of them are selfish. That's the way he kind of phrases
we're split.
them. Yeah, they're kind of split between those 2.
Okay.
So the endorphins, those are the ones you get, the runner's high, you know.
Right before the show.
There you go.
Let's go. Yes,
You
sir.
get those endorphins and you get dopamine.
Gotcha.
Dopamine is like, ooh, I got a hit on my, a like on my, phone.
I got a smile.
I got a smiley
Let's
face.
go, yeah.
That's a dopamine hit. Those are selfish.
Okay.
The selfless chemicals that we have are the serotonin. Okay, that's that serene, that's focuses, helps you focus, you're emotionally stable, you're happier, and you're calmer. Okay, so that's serotonin. You're going to have some of that released, as well as oxytocin, which is your love drug, basically.
Right.
You care about each other very intensely and so forth. So those 4 chemicals are needed, both not just to meet your own needs,
Right.
but also to meet the needs of others.
Break those 4 down for me again real quick, big
So
brother.
the first one is endorphin.
Endorphin.
That runner's high, that's
Okay.
going to protect your body.
Got you.
That dopamine hit, that little excitement that you
Got
feel,
you.
okay? But it's not long lasting. It's very short.
Yeah. Quick boost.
The serotonin,
Yep.
that's that serene, nice, relaxed feeling.
Got you.
And then the oxytocin, that love drug.
Got you. Hey, you see what we're talking about. He's taking us down to you're split, right? Selfless and selfish.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that when we come back. 78.6 FM Yomatan. Positive vibes of Winsome and his big brother, Mr.
Yes,
G.
indeed. Yes,
Scott
indeed.
Garricky. Mr. G, what's the title of this book again?
We're going over Simon Sinek's book called Leaders Eat Last.
Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. So if you're just tuning in, we've already been building up on this. We talked about start with why.
Start with why.
Then we went to find your why.
Find it.
And now we're looking at leaders eat last.
Yes.
I already got homework. My first homework assignment is I got to go eat at a Marine chow hall.
There
now,
you go.
Or mess hall. See how he does me when he comes? Every
That's
time.
right.
I got homework now.
I-
Scuba diving
There
certification.
you go. And then go and eat at the
Marine mess
Corps
hall.
mess hall.
78.6
That's
FM
right.
Yomatan. Positive vibes of Winston and Mr. G. We're talking about leaders eat last. So we already went over oxytocin.
That's right.
Serotonin, dopamine, And what was the last one?
And the dopamine and the oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, and endorphins.
Yo, Mr. G.
In that circle of safety.
In the circle of safety. Making sure that your people want to show up every day and they want to bring their heart every single time.
That's it.
Let's go. Hey, we're going to come back right after this break to talk more about Leaders Eat Last.
Mm-hmm.
.6 FM Yomaton, Positive Vibes of Winston. We are back with Big Brother Scott Garricky, and we are talking about what book, Big Brother?
We're talking about Simon Sinek's book called Leaders Eat Last.
Leaders Eat Last. Let me tell you something, man. I haven't read this book yet, so I'm guilty. I'm just talking about that. This is on my list, and when I'm done, I always put these books that I finished reading on my little table in my office so we can have conversations when people come in and say, hey, what's that book? I'm like, well, I'm glad you asked.
That's right.
So, Leaders Eat Last. Quick, can you just give us a quick review of what we talked about?
Absolutely. I'd love to. So, first off, it's really all about how good leaders treat their people in their organization and how they empathize with them more than anything else. And it gets them loyalty and commitment from their people. And then, and that is how they basically build a circle of safety where people trust each other and they have each other's back and really just help each other out where they can So we talked a little bit about the forces that play in on us in the chemicals that are in our bodies. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then secondly, I did want to say that there are a couple of negative chemicals that we also experience in our bodies. So one of the things that we experience is also known as cortisol. Now, cortisol is a chemical that causes a lot of high anxiety or stress. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we need that. Yeah. We need that in certain circumstances because it helps us perform. Okay. Right. And the other thing that really helps us perform, and I'm sure you're aware of this, is adrenaline.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's that,
Let's go.
We got to go. So we get that adrenaline, which is the fight or flight response. It triggers those type of things. It's like, okay, we're ready. Let's do it. And so,
but you know how to plan. I'm ready to go right on.
Yes, sir. Exactly. So, but the thing on it is if an organization has a culture where everybody's afraid, there's a bunch of cortisol going through your body all the time. Yeah. And prolonged cortisol exposure, it really brings people down. It gets them depressed. It makes them scared. They're perpetually in a state of fear. Yep. And it's just not a good culture to be in an organization.
So reminds me of the quote, right, or the term, phrase, should I say, would you rather be feared or loved?
There you go.
And then you're speaking, if you are leading a culture of fear, that cortisol, which layman's term, high anxiety all the time.
Yes.
There's no way that you're
you hear about people having heart attacks and stuff like that. That's the reason why.
Coming to work, everybody has anxiety issues. That's right. Horrible. Okay, got you. Yes, sir.
And it reminds me of how Malcolm Gladwell basically does not like the Jack Welch leadership style. Got you. Jack Welch, he basically pulled GE out of bankruptcy, basically, and made him a really world leader until he died. But basically, his philosophy was he was going to get the top 20% of his managers and leaders. He's going to lavish all kinds of perks and bonuses on them. The bottom 10%, no matter how they performed, the bottom 10% got fired every year.
Wow.
Every year. So he didn't like that at all. And I'm sure Simon wouldn't agree with that at all.
Anxiety in itself.
Anxiety.
Wow. Yes, sir.
Am I going to get cut today?
Am I on the cut list? Yes, sir.
So at any rate, so one of the questions I want to ask you, we talk about this in the Air Force a lot. Yeah. What is your definition of work-life balance? And I'm going to tell you what Simon says after.
Got you. Having a healthy, I don't ever think there's a balance, but having a work-life harmony.
Yeah.
If you can, where you're able to put the energy needed into both your personal life and your professional life.
Very good. Yes, exactly. And Simon does basically agree with that because you said it better than he did, I think. I won't say that.
We're going to cut that out.
You didn't hear that, Simon. But basically, he's what he's saying is it's not just the hours that we put in between each other, between work and at home. What it is how we feel both at work and at home. So that harmony that you're talking about is exactly what he's saying.
Gotcha.
If I have harmony at work and if I have harmony at home, now I'm balanced.
There it is.
If I have disharmony at home and I go to work, how's that going to impact I'm going to be thinking about stuff at home.
Right.
Same thing the other way.
Right.
If I have a really bad work environment, it's going to cross over into my home life.
Right.
Not balanced.
Got you.
Okay, so that's what he's talking about. He's talking about how greater levels of oxytocin and serotonin, those are the things that are released when you have a good balance in your work-life balance. So anyway, it gives you a greater feelings of comfort and confidence.
Gotcha.
Especially when you go to work. And also when you come home.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the book basically goes into, because all of this is all about how people are treated.
Okay.
Mostly in the organizations and so forth. So he goes into some history. He goes in and he talks about how organizations treated their people back in the Roaring 20s. And then through the Depression, and then what happened during World War II, where all of that changed, right? World War II changed a lot of different things.
Right, everything had to shift.
Yes,
sir.
And there was a lot of personal sacrifice where all of the best cuts of meat went overseas to the troops. So moms had to figure out how to make liver and onions,
right?
And make it taste good, and so they had all these things. Well, they had that feeling of sacrifice and what's good for the country from the the end of World War II, 1940, mid-40s, through just about the 70s and just prior to Ronald Reagan coming in. Okay? When Ronald Reagan took office in 1980, he was coming out of very high economic problems. There was a lot of economic problems under the Carter administration and so forth. So he had his hands full. Yeah. Well, what happened in 1981, specifically August 5th of 1981?
You knew the date and everything.
And everything. It was a very important date. And it had reverberations all the way across the next 30, 40, 50 years. And basically what happened was on prior to August 5th, 1981, the PATCO, the Professional Air Traffic Controllers Organization, which is the union for the air traffic controllers that worked at the FAA, they were coming up and saying, hey, we've got issues here. Our guys aren't getting paid enough. Our guys don't have the work time off that they need because this is a stressful stressful job that they're in, and they're getting worked to death. It's they need breaks, and so forth. So PATCO and the union and the FAA were at an impasse. Okay. They did not get along. So PATCO said, okay, we're going to strike.
They went on strike.
They were going to go on strike, and they did.
Wow.
They did, and it was completely illegal because of a law that basically was passed to where organizations like the air traffic controllers couldn't do that. They're like firefighters and policemen and stuff like that. You can't do that if it's going to harm other people.
Right.
And by not showing up and basically shutting down the nation's air transportation network, That's totally bad.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
So in preparation for the date that they were going to go on strike, the Reagan and the FAA basically got some contingency plans put in place.
Okay.
So when they went on strike,
Yeah.
President Reagan just said, "Hey, this isn't hurting us nearly as bad as we thought it was going to."
Wow.
So you 11,000 air traffic controllers that are on the line,
Yeah.
you're gone,
Terminated.
He fired them.
Yeah.
And he didn't just fire them; he fired them for life. They couldn't come back to the FAA and work.
Wow.
Okay, so talk about taking your career out from underneath you.
Well,
Wow,
that's a wrap.
It's not just the legs; it was the whole bottom half of your body.
Everything's gone.
Everything's gone.
Wow.
So he fired him.
Okay.
But what message did that send to company leaders across the country?
I would say that you do your job.
Yes,
Do your job, or you're gonna get cut.
that is for sure.
strike.
That is for sure. That is definitely for sure. But basically, what he was basically saying was, "Hey, these people,
Yeah.
mass layoffs could be used to avert short-term gains."
Gotcha.
Okay, economic disruptions and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Hey, we'll just cut the people, and that's what the leaders got out of it.
Hey, we can just cut folks.
We can just cut them.
It may not hurt as much as we think it will.
But guess what? Our balance in the books, no more payroll. Guess what? That improves our profit margin.
Right.
Because
Wow.
payroll is the biggest thing. So no matter how you performed, it didn't matter. They would going to cut you.
So that just started a trend.
Exactly.
Wow.
And companies use that everywhere.
Damn.
Everywhere. It used to be, back in the, before 1980, layoffs were last resort.
Okay.
Whereas now they're used all the time to balance the books.
You hear it all the time.
Yes.
To this day. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So that was a big, big thing. Now, when President Clinton got into office in 1993, so 12 years later, he lifted the ban.
Okay.
So they could
The
come back to
FAA
work.
could
The
come
FAA could come back.
Put your hips back on. We didn't mean to cut you in half. You can come back.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow.
But the point on the thing is what kind of commitment do you think an organization you would have to an organization where you knew that at any given moment, no matter what your performance was,
Facts.
you could be gone?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
You want to lay you off.
Doesn't
Gotta let
matter.
some folks go.
That's right.
Wow.
So
I think that's a safety and security for the military
yes,
until 2011.
until 2011. That's right.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
we're not
Same
gonna
thing.
get into that one.
Yep. Same thing in 1991 when I was in. They had a riff, so it was bad, and then they took out some of the best people.
Wow.
Best people.
Just for numbers.
Yeah, it was just numbers.
Wow.
And that leads me into, now we don't have enough time for this time, so we're going to go, if you don't mind, we're going to do a part 2 on
I
this
love
one.
that. No,
Okay?
let's go.
But what that's leading to is where leaders be.
Y'all heard it. Hold up. Before he
Okay,
keeps
go ahead.
going,
Okay.
he just invited himself to come back twice next month. So I want y'all to understand. Mama, you heard it?
That's
Mama,
right.
you heard it. He's coming back twice next month.
That's
Part
right.
2 to this, and then we're going whatever we go next.
There you go.
Love it. Look, lock him in. Where's security? Security? You got
That's
that?
right. Lock it in. Lock it in.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. But basically what that leads to is people becoming abstract.
Gotcha.
They're just numbers. They're just numbers.
Right.
And you can treat a number. It's just like, and unfortunately, you hear about a lot of people dying.
Yeah.
Okay? A lot of people suffering.
Yeah.
And it doesn't impact you as much as you driving by and you saw that some guy got hit on his bike out here.
Right.
And his leg is turned out sideways and
Yeah.
stuff, you're going to rush over there. You're going to feel that.
Right.
Much more than you're going to read in the paper about how many thousands of Ukrainians
the
died.
same impact.
Not the same.
Yeah.
Not the same. So
Gotcha.
anyway, we're going to talk about that in our part 2.
Let's go.
We're going to talk about.
He got me ready now. Look, I'm
Yes,
going to do some
indeed.
research now. Yes, sir. Hey, 78.6 FM. We'll be back right after this break. 78.6 FM Yomaton, positive vibes of Winsome. I had to make sure I had the dials right because it's new equipment. And Mr. G said if I didn't have it right, he was going to cut me.
That's right.
So I had to go ahead and make sure these dials down.
Sorry, you're out of here.
Get him out of here. 78.6 FM Yomaton. We're talking about another wonderful Simon Sinek book, Leaders Eat Last. And Big Brother, what else we want to talk about, man?
So basically, I know that we've got this segment dedicated to the resiliency.
Let's go. Did you see that?
You know what I'm talking about.
Air Force Wounded Warrior Wellness and Resiliency Team. We love you guys. The third segment is for the rest of this year dedicated to the Integrated Resiliency Team for Kadena Air Base. So love for everybody, man. Mr. G, thank you.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
I was just going to wrap it up and say, we've been talking about how organizations treat their people, okay, and how leaders need to do that. Well, some of the thing that Simon does really, really well, and I'm going to cover it in part 2, so it's anticipation.
Look,
you know
I'm
what
ready
I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's how leaders can manage that abstractness.
Gotcha.
How can leaders create that circle of safety? And he goes into several different techniques and so forth. And he finally just ends up the book, and we're going to talk about that in part 2.
Okay.
So goes the culture.
Yeah.
So goes the company. And he also says, so goes the leader, so goes the culture. So the leaders have that amount of influence on a culture, and they are responsible for that culture, that organization's culture. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about how societies, or how this society especially is addicted mostly to dopamine hits,
Let me get that like. Did I get a like?
There you go.
I got a like.
And how we need more leaders that build circles of trust for organizations so that they can perform at the highest levels.
Got you.
And the last thing that we'll cover in part 2 is how to lead millennials, because that's the major workforce that we have right now.
Yeah.
And how do we talk to them? How do we motivate them? What drives them?
Yep.
And how do we get them to want to come to work, feel trusted while they're at work, be innovative and creative, and then go home feeling satisfied and ready to recharge their batteries to come back again tomorrow.
Because what worked for us may not be what worked for them.
Bingo.
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
Exactly.
Got you. Mr. G, man, look at this dude, man. Mr. G, so that's going to be part 2.
That's going to be part 2.
So we ended it now? We closing the book?
Yes.
Y'all saw that, right?
We closed the book on this
Mr.
one
G
for
closed
right now.
the book on this for now. 78.6 FM Yomaton. This is part 1 of Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. Mr. G, hey man, wonderful week.
Yes, indeed.
As you know, have a new job. I'm trying not to get cut. I'm one of the 2 career advisors for Kadena Air Base, and one of the coolest things that I get to do over there is help people try to figure out what they want to do next.
Yes.
Not by telling them, but by listening, which is the coolest thing. You tell me, and I will tell you what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just spit it back to you. That's what you just told me. Is that right? Yeah, that's crazy. One of the coolest things about that job, and we posted on the Integrated Resiliency pages, we were born with 2 hands. And the cool thing about having 2 hands is one hand is to lift yourself up, and the other hand is to pull somebody up.
Pull somebody else.
Always got to be able to uplift somebody else.
That's right.
One of the goals this year, too, is to get rid of that phrase, bouncing back.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Okay.
We were really pushing every time we teach, stop saying resiliency means the ability to bounce back.
Yes.
And the reason why we say that is because if you bounce back from a wall, you're right back where you started. But if you punch through that wall, you go over that wall, you go around that wall. One of the coolest memes is, I don't know if you saw this one, but there's a cop, it's a hurdle.
Okay.
They set this hurdle up in the park. It's one of the funniest memes I've ever seen in my life. But watch this. So the first time he flips over it.
Okay.
Like this athletic flip. Second time, he low crawls under it. Third time, he goes around it. But what he's saying, there's more than one way to get over an obstacle or a hurdle. You just got to find the way that works for you. And then when you get to the other side of that obstacle and hurdle, somebody else may be facing the same obstacle. How do you get them through it? Well, you show them the different paths possibly that you took. You advise the ones that work best for you. You advise the ones that you know may work because you've seen it work for someone else. But it's that conversation and the ability to empathize. You mentioned that a second ago.
Empathy.
Empathy is so important.
It's huge.
Oh, we talked about, I don't know if you ever watched that movie Inside Out.
Yes, I have seen that one.
One of my favorite Disney movies. So I'm going to tell you where this is all going. Watch this. So Inside Out has a scene on there. It was the cutest scene. Watch this. So Bing Bong, the elephant thing with the magic candy pops out everywhere. His wagon goes over the hill. And we talked about this in class like last week when we were teaching empathy. The wagon goes down the hill. Now, there's characters in this movie that symbolize feelings and emotions, right? So you got happiness, you got sadness. And happiness sees him over there sitting at the edge of the hill because his wagon went over. He's really sad. And happiness goes over and says, hey, buddy, come on. It's going to be fine. We got to get to our journey. Let's go. She's way up here. She's at a 10.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he's at a 2 right now because he just lost his best friend, which is the wagon that he's loved forever. So then you see sadness. Sadness, remember when she came walking up?
She comes in, yep.
Sadness comes. The class is laughing because I did the walk and everything. Right? Sadness comes up and she sits down next to him. And she doesn't say anything at first. And she goes, you were close to that wagon, weren't you? He kind of looks at her a little bit. He says, you're probably feeling some kind of way, aren't you? And within those few words, he starts to open up. Yeah, that was my friend. We've been on a lot of adventures together. And what I tried to show the class with this clip is sometimes we might be on an emotional high, right? What you mentioned, we might have that dopamine rush.
That's right.
Great mood. But there's someone that may not be feeling that same rush of life. So how do you, instead of staying where you're at and trying to bring them to you, how do you meet people where they're at?
Yep.
And that movie had the most beautiful way of showcasing that. And when Sadness did that, when she met Bing Bong, or whatever the character's name is, where he was, she went down to him. She empathized with the highest level of empathy. She sat down next to him. She didn't keep standing.
That's right.
Sat down next to him. So for us, we want to talk about how important empathy is, because there's people who are experiencing things in life. And one favor I ask of you, and for all the listeners in 78.6 FM Yomitan, don't compare your pain to anyone else's. The key is, yes, pain is pain, but everyone experiences pain differently. So when you say something like, oh, I've been through that. Oh, I know what that feels like. Oh, that's diminishing someone's story and their pain. Never do that. To truly empathize and meet someone where they're at, listen to them.
Yes.
Try to understand what they're feeling. And you don't have to say I. Take that word out of your vocabulary and just listen and say something more to the effect of, can I do anything for you? Is there anything you need? What do you need right now?
There you go.
From what you're saying, this is what I'm hearing. And it would probably startle you how much that person will open up and tell you what they're feeling, because they feel like you're not trying to minimize, diminish, identify, tell them how they're feeling. You're allowing them to tell you how they're feeling and show you. So tears matter. Someone asked, well, what about if somebody starts crying? I love that question because every one of those tears is telling a story.
Yes, it is.
So you let those tears drop and give them that safe space, right? So when they're crying in front of you, don't say anything. Wait until they say something, because those tears are telling the story as they run down that person's face. It's okay. You don't need to panic if you see it. This is us teaching empathy. This is us discussing what ifs, right? And what people have seen. This isn't the CAAC.
That's right.
Tell me,
That's
I haven't had nobody do that yet.
Nope.
Right? Been happy in our office.
Yeah, that's right.
But when you're out there and you're teaching, right, for the integrated resiliency team, and someone is going through something, listen.
So what you're saying is you want to listen and you just want to be there. Just your presence alone.
Be there.
Be there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And meet them where they're at.
Right.
And let your words not pull away from what they are saying to you. So a lot of people have the issue, and I've heard this. I've been divorced before. You'll get over it. Oh, I've lost a relative before. I've lost a friend. It'll heal. What's the favorite line? Time
heals all wounds.
Time heals all.
Yes. Time heals everything.
The one thing about that is pain is pain. Everyone is digesting that pain different. They're going to have to sort and work through it differently. So if you're truly trying to empathize with someone, listen. Give them that safe space. Regurgitate what they said. If they say something to you, just to make sure that you're here, they know that you're actively listening. Because some people listen and still they got their own mind made up of what they want to say.
They're already talking about what they're going to talk about next.
I know. So I'm going to listen. Because you might hear something that they need from you.
Yep.
They might say something that you wouldn't catch if you weren't actively listening. That's a cry for help. I need a hug. Just stay with me for a little bit. Those things will come out if you listen. So that's the one thing that's important. And I think empathy is a lost art.
It is.
It's a lost art.
It really is.
I'm blessed to have our teammate Joe Gross over there, who's also a professional coach.
Fantastic.
We've been trained over and over how to listen, right? But until you're in the room, until you're in that situation where someone is hurting, someone is crying, I've seen people just not know how to respond.
Yep.
Not know how to, they shut down too. I've seen someone start
They
crying.
start crying sympathy.
I don't know what and it's okay to feel.
Yes.
But don't forget to listen. Empathy is a lost art. It's a treasure. And I started off this whole segment not just with empathy by saying, honestly, you have to understand who you are when you're going into those situations as well. And sometimes we forget what we've been through. So we've been through all these stories and situations and trials in our lives. We've gotten over obstacles. We've shifted, we've moved, and we've survived our worst days. So when someone else is going through that same thing or similar, because everybody's story is different, right? How do you help them? Not by telling them, and this is where I wanted to go with that. I told you I was going to bring us back. I jumped over that hurdle. So can you. I low crawled under that hurdle. It's right there. No, hey, I see the hurdle too. You got to do what works for you.
Right.
Because you are your own person and this is your story. I've had to climb hurdles, but pain is pain. Your pain is different. You tell me what you need from me and I help you get over it. That is how you pull yourself up, got through, around, over that hurdle, and now you're reaching back for somebody who may be going through similar obstacles, pain, and hurdles in their lives. That's how you do it.
That's right.
So, 78.6 FM Yomitan, empathy.
Yep.
Is a lost art. And if you see me, you know I give hugs all the time.
All the time.
You never know who needs one.
It's awesome.
And you never know who's going to walk in your office, who's going to come up to you, who has a story that they just need someone to listen to.
Yes.
There's a lot going on in the world right now. Integrated Resiliency Team is probably busier than ever.
Oh, yeah.
Right now.
Right now.
On Kadena Air Base. And I say this to anyone listening and anyone who is there, if it's your first time tuning in, you are loved. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. If you know me, if you've met me, great, then you know my heart is genuine. You can call me. I don't care if I am on shift work.
That's right.
You can call, text, email me. And if I can't help you, I'll reach out to someone who I guarantee you will try.
That's right.
So, hey, Mr. G, as always, man, it's a pleasure. And I'm so grateful for you. So grateful. We're going to pick up part 2. You guys heard it, and there's witnesses now with a minute and 15 left. Mr. G said 2 times next month.
That's right.
Listen to me. If you're out there, kindness is a superpower. Every single day you have an opportunity to be a hero in somebody's life. Your kindness can change, or should I say, can save or change a life.
That's right.
Just a little bit of kindness goes a long way.
And
someone needs you right now to be kind. Learn to empathize. If someone's in a situation, be there in the moment, meet them where they're at. Don't try to fix it.
No.
Right? And that's where we've been messing up in the world. Everyone wants to be a fixer, a shrink. Guys, just be there. Because some people might just need you to do that. Big Mama Bear, glad to see you this week. Big brother, Mr. G.
Yes, indeed.
Twice in July. Hey, we won't be here for the July weekend, but we'll be back the following weekend. So next weekend will be my last week for a couple of weeks as I need to breathe.
That's right.
78.6 FM. You are loved, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. We'll see you next week.